What's good, Hoopers? In today's video, we're gonna go over a deep calf muscle that plays a big part in rehab, basketball performance, and overall endurance. And in this video, we're gonna go over what that muscle is, how it relates to basketball, and what you can do exercise-wise to help build the strength and help you rehab or perform better. If you guys don't know me, my name is Gabe Ignacio, Doctor of Physical Therapy, board-certified orthopedic clinical specialist, and co-founder of Basketball Doctors. And we're here to try and give you guys as much information in terms of injury prevention, rehab, and basketball performance. But in today's video, like I mentioned earlier, is we're gonna focus on the muscle, the deep calf muscle, the soleus. And the soleus muscle runs deep to the gastrocnemius muscle, which is more of what we see like externally when we see it, look at someone's calf. The gastrocnemius sits on top of the soleus. So when people do heel raises, run, walk, and things like that, that's the muscle that you see mostly. But we're gonna go to the deeper muscle to that, just the layer deeper, the soleus muscle, which often gets overlooked and doesn't get rehabbed or strengthened enough. And the soleus is actually a really big muscle that covers a lot of cross-sectional area and in the area of your calf, and is more of like a type 1 fiber. So it's more of that slow twitch endurance muscle. And why that's important is that the amount of running that happens in basketball, if you don't want to feel fatigued or feel like you're wearing out, you really want to make sure you build up the strength and endurance of the soleus muscle, because one, will take the load off your gastrocnemius so that one, it could be more prepared to do the more explosive movements like the jumping, the sprinting, things like that. The soleus will play a big part in helping stabilize the foot and ankle joint and activate the gastrocnemius better, but the more of the muscle that's going to be firing is the gastrocnemius for the more explosive movements, but the soleus muscle is huge to allow you to be able to access the gastrocnemius. So what we've seen a lot in rehab and performance is that the soleus tends to get overlooked, and we want to give you some exercises today that'll help you kind of focus on the area. You're not going to solely activate just the soleus muscle, that's just impossible unless something happened, but realistically we're gonna try and bias the soleus muscle a little bit more over the gastrocnemius and other plantar flexors. So the main purpose of the gastrocnemius and the soleus is to do plantar flexion. So this is my foot. If I point down, that's plantar flexion. The other way is dorsiflexion. So the main muscle activation is plantar flexion, which is what you want to be able to do. And the soleus is biased a little bit more when you're in knee flexion. Like I said, you're not going to completely isolate the soleus when you do exercise or when you do that movement, because there's also other plantar flexors in the body, and the gastrocnemius is also one of the primary movers for that. But we want to try and bias it as much as we can. So in these videos, I'll show you probably 2 exercises, show you some variations of how you can perform them and progress them. So yeah, we're gonna get into it now. Let us know what you think. All right, so the more classic way we've seen soleus training happen is either sitting, so your knee is bent. Like I said, that's the way to bias your soleus muscle the most. And then like you've seen machines where you rest either like the pad on top of your knees, or you grab a weight and you do some heel raises this way. Which is a great alternative and a great way to work on isolating the soleus muscle as best as possible. So we do recommend doing that if you have the capability of doing that and you want something a little bit more stable and kind of less moving parts. But as you know, we're big on function and functionality of training, and we want to strengthen the soleus and activate the soleus in more functional positions. So I'm going to show you an exercise right now. You've kind of seen the more classic way, but you're going to use a bench or a step or a box. You're going to get your one foot up top, so my right leg is the one that's working. Heel raise this way where the leg is straight, and that's going to bias the gastrocnemius more. So doing the heel raises that way. But kind of what we mentioned, you want to strengthen up and activate the soleus muscle a little bit more. So what you're going to do from locking out that knee, you're going to go into some knee bend, keep the weight on the back leg, and go as high as you can up on your toes, keeping the weight between the first and third toe, and controlling it up and down. Keep that knee bent as you straighten up. Try not to extend your knee too much, because again, that's going to bias your gastrocnemius a little bit more than your soleus, which is not the purpose. So you want to keep the knee bent, keep the weight through the back leg, use the front leg for some support and balance if you need it, but you really want to make sure you're working that back leg as best you can to really feel that contraction into that soleus muscle. And you want to go as high as you can, squeezing, holding at the top for a second, controlling it all the way back down, and repeating. And you want to go for higher reps here. So I recommend like 15 to 25 reps for each set. And if you want a little bit more challenge, you can grab a weight, hold it over your right side. Same thing, soft knee bend. Keep the weight there and control it all the way up. Get a good squeeze, come back down, keep that knee bent. Really try and avoid doing that as you come up and down. Really don't want you to bounce at this current stage. Want to stay nice and low and loaded. Control the movement up, get a good squeeze, control it back down. Okay, so the next exercise that we're gonna do is another different position to work on that soleus in a more functional position. Instead of it being a trailing limb with the leg behind us on that bench, we're gonna work on it now when it's a little bit more forward, kind of in a lunge position. So this one has a couple different variations. We'll start with the most basic one and add on to it. So same thing, my right leg is the working leg here. We're gonna get into kind of a little bit like a power lunge, power squat position, about 45 degrees in terms of the knee angle. Still that knee is bent because we're gonna bias the soleus as much as we can. Gonna keep the weight into our front leg, about 80%, back leg's there for support. Arms, core nice and tight, and then we're gonna go up into a heel raise. Same thing, focusing on that good squeeze, weight through the first and third toe. Keeping everything nice and quiet and isometric. And then you're working on the soleus this way, doing the heel raises. You get your arms going a little bit to work on a little bit of patterning. We're really trying to make sure you're focusing first on that soleus muscle, working on that activation that way, okay? Same thing, recommend higher reps, so 15 to 25 or 30 reps per set. If you want to progress that, same thing, grab a weight, keep it on your right side or the leg that you're working on, so the weight's over on that side. Same position, working on that squeeze all the way up, all the way down. Really trying to not make sure you're moving too much from everywhere else. Focus on the controlled activation and a progression to that. You can get a plate. I have a 25-pound plate here, about 2 inches off the ground. You can go a little bit higher if you want. But now we're going to work on a little bit more range of motion through our Achilles and the soleus muscle. So we're going to go into as much dorsiflexion as we can. So that means my heel going as far down as I can this way. You could touch if you want to, but ideally you want to keep the muscle tension going. So just above the ground before I touch, go into that heel raise, control it all the way down, all the way up. As you go, you can get your arms going for patterning. Really get that good squeeze, control the movement all the way up, all the way down. And just like the other way, to make a progression, grab a weight, keep everything nice and tight and stable. Just focusing on the heel moving up and down, getting that good squeeze, getting that good burn through your calf muscle. Hope you enjoyed those exercises on soleus bias, strengthening and activation. Try them out, see if you enjoy them a little bit more than kind of the isolated way of doing it with machines or seated. We really like using these exercises to help build that soleus activation, endurance, and strength in these functional positions, and we really feel like these help our clients and basketball players a lot. Let's try them out, let us know what you think. If you learned something new or something valuable, please help us reach more hoopers by liking, subscribing, commenting below. Really appreciate the support. Let us know if there's anything else you'd like to cover. And like always, let's ball for life.